Mr. Cage's thought of the day. Don't read in between the lines. There are some instances where reading in between the lines is not beneficial, it's not productive, it's counterproductive. If you were to ask me, Mr. Cage, what does reading in between the lines mean to you? My response would be making an assumption based on what a person said verbally and didn't say verbally, or what a person did non-verbally, or what they did do non-verbally. We read between the lines probably entirely too much because we like to use our experience, interpretation under the expression of our human reasoning and logic to interpret someone else's action or behavior, or the lack of their action or behavior. But if you do a quick Google search on what reading in between the lines can mean, you will find this, that it can translate into perceive or detect a hidden meaning. For example, as in they sat, that everything's fine, but reading between the lines, I suspect they have some marital problems. Reading in between lines can lead to suspicion. It can also lead to us what we call internalizing. It's, and in this specific example, it's associated with insecurity. So if this person, if my person says they're gonna call me back in 15, 10, 20 minutes, and it doesn't happen based on the time that they set, because they set that expectation, I'm reading in between the lines, I'm making an assumption that they're talking to somebody, they're cheating, they're doing something wrong. And that is associated with the term cognitive distortion. A cognitive distortion is basically our thinking in a negative sense. When something or an experience or situation doesn't go the prescribed way that meets my safety zone, I begin to make assessments, assumptions, generalizations that is associated with negativity. Negativity is in relation to less of. So if I have a negative image of myself, that means that my esteem about who I am is low. And if that be the case and that be true, I'm going to look for outside, external people, places, things, achievements, awards, and validations to build me up. But the purest essence of being built up is to be built inside out, not outside in. Inside of who I am to the outside, not outside in based on people's external affirmation. Another thought in association with reading in between the lines, which I saw on Google, is this example. For example, you, your spouse, and teenage son are invited to a family gathering. Your son reacts and says, when he hears the news, I guess I'm assuming, as I'm reading this, to go to a family gathering, he mutters, well, if I gotta go. So when we read between the lines, it means that he doesn't want to go. In some instances, that instance right there, we can read in between the lines when we have a fair understanding of how that person, and that example with the son, and how my son or child will respond to something that he or she did not want to do. We can put a period at the end of that sentence, but understanding that that period is not definite, meaning that my child will grow, hopefully, into a sacrificial, mature young man or young woman, and not stay in the state of instant gratification, doing what they want to do when they want to do it, not having the ability or harness the ability to sacrifice to do something that doesn't result in their direct benefit, but it's more so long term. In summary, reading in between the lines could be a very precarious, dangerous feat if we're reading in between the lines from a place of insecurity, and it equates to us internalizing and looking for that validation from that person or situation. When the expectation has been set, we're holding them concretely arrested to what they say that they were going to do. You can call me back in 20 minutes, you must be doing something wrong. Not so. Maybe they ran into somebody at the store that they had seen in a long time. They went to school with the person. They had a genuine, platonic, pure conversation. It's all based on us being able to assess where we are. And in some cases, you're not going to be able to assess yourself accurately by yourself, because there's going to be a bias, there's going to be history in association with that. One of the best practices that a person can have is having an outlet and sharing with somebody that's not a yes man or yes woman, but somebody that knows how to deliver the truth in a firm but loving way. And when we trust that advice that is given from that person and we consider it, we find out that there's some insecurities there, we can begin to doing the work so we know how to use the tool of reading between the lines in an effective way.